I come down into the real world from the clouds. I exist in the clouds. Now they see me out the country. It's Red Pill. He's real. He came down from the clouds. Right.
Up in the Dumbo, smoking the gumbo. Few blocks before green, yeah, up in the jungle, coconut bundles. It's history in the making. I'm popping like fish to the grease and the bacon. My bitch is Jamaican. United we stand, dividing these bands. They hide in their hands. I'm riding in vans, slide through your land. Hopping the sprinters, tour of the underworld, popping the minter. Land of the turtles, I'm popping that splinter. Watching the snowfall, dropping the winter. Dodging the pitfalls, watching this bitch fall. And I still managed like Rich Paul. The paper was calling, I had to go switch calls. I spoke to my twin, I told my young boys I'd never be broken again. Invoking the gins, spitting the spirits, I'm soaking the gin. Your man's in the woods, we smoking on him. Fuck do you mean? We up it and squeeze, tuck it and leave. We leaving a stain, fuck a Febreze. Running the banks, causing a crash.
From the clouds. I exist in the clouds. Now they see me out the country. It's Red Pill. He's real. He came down from the clouds. Right.
Up in the Dumbo, smoking the gumbo. Few blocks before green, yeah, up in the jungle, coconut bundles. It's history in the making. I'm popping like fish to the grease and the bacon. My bitch is Jamaican. United we stand, dividing these bands. They hide in their hands. I'm riding in vans, slide through your land. Hopping the sprinters, tour of the underworld, popping the minter. Land of the turtles, I'm popping that splinter. Watching the snowfall, dropping the winter. Dodging the pitfalls, watching this bitch fall. And I still managed like Rich Paul. The paper was calling, I had to go switch calls. I spoke to my twin, I told my young boys I'd never be broken again. Invoking the gins, spitting the spirits, I'm soaking the gin. Your man's in the woods, we smoking on him. Fuck do you mean? We up it and squeeze, tuck it and leave. We leaving a stain, fuck a Febreze. Running the banks, causing a crashing. Feathered the feds, Moorish the fashion. Horse was smashing, kicking the door. Wave on 4-4, it was blasting. Mother the gassing, loving the passion. Eat on your food, the brother was fasting. The weapon that formed against me was me. Perfected the storm as Bentley receipts. Washing the Benjis, we rinse and repeat. Sacred self, I'm centered on me. Red is the pillar, I'm pushing the piece. Higher the level, I'm pushing the keys. They going for 19. The summer is mine, I'm going for 19. Thunder and lightning, flooded the brightling. The hunger was biting, biting.
Do not allow anything to take you off of your square. It's the same thing like what we see right here. Yeah, it's cloudy, yeah, it's misty, but it ain't gonna stay like that forever.
Healthy so you can get wealthy with True Health Love. We got everything that you need in terms of getting your body right for the fall, for the summer, just everyday wellness. We got herbal products, we got Sabi-inspired meal preps, we got juice preps, and we also have our soul food takeout spot in Southern California. That's right, Alkaline Soul Food in Southern California. Come on down. It's nutritious and delicious. Get healthy so you can get wealthy. TrueHealthLove.com. Peace.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Peace to the family. Peace to you and yours. Welcome back to Know the Ledge. You are now rocking with the best. Yes, this is your host for the evening, Brother Red Pill, and I will be joined by my special guest, Brother RAS in a little while. All right. This is Third Eye Thursdays, episode 188, the mystical roots of the USA and Israel relationship. And I'm telling you, strap your asses in your seats because we delivering a classic tonight. You feel me? We giving you a lecture tonight. You dig? Because the time has called for that. We giving you a whole lecture tonight. And we not going to ask y'all for nothing because we don't shake cups over here. We just do God's work. But what we want you to do, though, is make sure your ass is sign up to Patreon. Show some support. Show me that I'm doing all of that. Red, you doing? Yeah, show me. You know what I'm talking about? Because women lie, men lie. But them numbers don't. So let's run up them Patreons. Like I say, we are shifting the community to a safe space, a bomb shelter. You know what I'm talking about? This shit is open air where we right here. It's like being in the court square. This ain't it. You know what I'm talking about? Because in order to put certain plans together, you can't be in the middle of the court square speaking your speech. You know what I mean? You got to be a little bit behind closed doors So that's what places like Patreon represent. Understand what I'm trying to say to y'all. You dig? Understand what I'm trying to say. Feel me on that. You dig? So Patreon / Red Pillar, it's from free 99 all the way up to 99. We just gonna keep it like that. You dig? You could be in VIP or you could be on the motherfucking dance floor at the bar. It's all on you. You know what I'm talking about? You're a grown man, grown woman. Make your own decisions. So without any further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do the roll call. I'm gonna go ahead and do the roll call. You know what I'm talking about? I'm gonna go ahead and do the roll call. Let's see who's in the building tonight. You feel me? Tonight feels like one of those nights. I'm gonna keep it 1,000 with you. The whole day I told Ross Ben, I was like, yo, I'm playing with an injury. You feel me? Because for most of the day, I was down and out. The energy is just crazy right now. I was down and out. I was out for the count. But after a nice little spiritual bath and listening to some motherfucking red opals, nigga, I'm great. All I needed was some music to lift us up. So, think about that next time you feeling a sort of way. Put on some motherfucking bops. Not that shit hop though, because that'll really have you feeling low, low frequency. Because think about it. If you're seeing babies, lifeless children being carried around, if you're seeing the dead in your social media timeline these days and whatnot, just think about what you're seeing when you listening to NBA Youngboy or when you basically just trying to make it to work and whatnot. They playing those 10 songs on the radio. Same frequency. Inglewood is in the building. All right. Shout out to Inglewood and whatnot. DMV. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Duval. Y'all know what the fuck Duval in the building. Shout out to Duval. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah. San Fran, Los Angeles. Seattle up in this thing. North Carolina. I see 305. Miami. Money is a major issue. Miami. Money is a major issue. Virgin Islands up in this mall. I'm talking about Mound Town, not Pound Town, Mound Town. NC by way of Mount Vernon. Shout out to Mystic Philly up in this thing. Philly up in this, Mystic Philly up in this thing. Yo, Philly, y'all about to learn something tonight. Y'all about to learn something. Fresno, Hollywood, Minnesota, Philadelphia, DMV, South Carolina. You know what I'm talking about? That's right, Afro Goddess. I need you in the building. You missing out on some classics. Them shows with Ra Aku and Chicago Crypto Block Bully classics. We ain't even in the bull market yet. For you niggas is buying war stocks, though I heard your stocks are running up. I'm talking about for you niggas that are investing in the missiles and bombs. I heard you doing good tonight. You know what I mean? I heard you doing good on the stock market, but everybody ain't playing. I'm not playing that game. I'm not buying no war stocks. I'm good. No judgment. You feel me? No judgment. Somebody told me that the strongest currency in 2023 is the Afghan dollar. How crazy is that? How crazy is that, yo? Portland in the building. Shout out to Portland. Shout out to CT. I'm going to pose a question, but not right now. Ross, Ben, if you listening, Ross, do me a favor and send me over that that second PDF in the email. The not the one, yeah. Send me that again, please. You dig? St. Louis up in this thing. Shout out to St. Louis. All right, now this is of utmost importance. I can't forget this. I have to remind the family throughout the whole show that we have a global meditation taking place after this show tonight. So this show is going to be informative. You feel me? We're going to tie some things together. We're going to bring a master teacher forth to basically, drop some information that, quite frankly, I've never heard before, only coming from the God. You know what I mean? Only coming from him, the way he put it together. So we're going to learn, right? We're going to demystify. We're going to attach ourselves from, all of the emotional baggage that we may have because we getting caught up in the middle of an information war. I mean, it's war, but it's an information war. You understand? Because 90% of war is propaganda. So they bodying you right now with the disinformation campaign. But tonight, okay, tonight at 11:11, we're going to meditate. We're going to have a collective meditation, and Blue Pill is going to lead the way, right? A global meditation, okay? He did one today at 11:11 a.m. If you was in the building, drop an emoji, okay? Let me know in the chat if you caught that, this rising and whatnot. Blue is being responsible. You know what I'm talking about? Blue is being responsible, you know? I might have started the war, and he's just coming to balance things. You understand? You see how that works? But make no mistake about it. If you was listening and paying attention, none of this is catching you by surprise. None of this is off script. None of this is out of character. Everything going on outside has been predicted. You know what I'm talking about? We talked about the Kali Yuga. We told you when the skies turned red in New York, then we was like, Sekhmet is here. We talked about Cerebrus, the motherfucking guy from the underworld coming through in Europe and whatnot. We spoke on these things. We talked about King Charles, the Scorpio, who means war. He's born on my birthday. Understand. And don't think that I'm just saying this shit to say it. We gave you When in Rome. We gave you the quantum quickening. And we laid it out and we're showing you, bro, there's nothing that's taking place outside of the proverbial box that Blue talks about. So you should have been already prepared to see. I said 2024, when I was like, the shit show is coming. And then we showed you Israel, or is it real? And we was like, yeah, they're coming. When they get on the stage, that's when they're going to shake the stage, because of course, all of the other players were getting on the stage. Russia's on the stage. Africa's on the stage. France on the stage. America on the stage. Ukraine on the stage. There was somebody missing from the dance. I beg of you to go back, because the work always, a lot of the work, it ages very well. The shit is like, Johnny Walker Red or something. You know what I'm talking about? The information ages well. So it hits differently. It's like a blunt the second day, not the night that you rolled it up. You clipped it and whatnot, and you let the succulent hairs communicate with each other, and you let the strains entangle one another. And then you came back in the rising and whatnot before the sun came up, and then that shit hit differently. It aged well. That's what this information is doing. Okay. So we was like, Kali Yuga, my niggas, learn about it. Get familiar. Right? There's an end time prophecy in front of us. This shit is not just going, you know what I mean? It's not just a script with an open ending. There's patterns to recognize that's taking place all around you if you only stop being distracted. Right? Because I'm wild distracted and I still know what the fuck I'm looking at. Okay? But there's nothing to be worried about. There's nothing to be alarmed about. There's nothing to be baffled about at this point. You don't have to be lost. There's a lot of people out here that we call the 85ers, the dumb, deaf, and blind. We refer to them as well as knuckle draggers, and they may be lost because the uninformed in the middle of an information war is cannon fodder. Okay? The archons, the egregores, they're gonna the Luciferians, they know how to feed off of that ignorance. And you got to be careful where you place your energy. You got to be careful what side your heart is leaning on. Like, you just have to be careful that you're not imbalanced. So conversations enact action. We could speak things into existence if you don't know this by now. You know, people are imbued with that energy. And an interesting thing took place once again, you know what I mean? And it involved my good brother Ross Ben, okay, master teacher. And he's done this many times before. And many of us were able to bear witness. I'm biased, but it's not just me saying it, because he was joined by thousands of us. He did a show on Know the Ledge. I believe it was a Melanin Monday with me and Blue. This was in January of 2023, right? And he prophesized a few things. The damn near the whole show, he was just prophesizing, laying it all out. Prepared us for everything that we were seeing, and you know, not tripping about it, being able to be in front of it. You know what being in front of information is? Do you know what being in front of the news looks like? Huh? It looks like Mayweather, nigga. It looks like that shit where he be like, you know, tweeting people while he's fighting. That's what it looks like. You have an advantage. Shit don't come at you. You're able to dodge everything. You know what I mean? Max Payne, you could slow it down. Ross Ben did a lecture 6 years ago, right? And he was able to lay down the prophecy. He was able to lay down the foundation. He was able to lay down the information and the data, right, to help people see what it is, and to even give people the glasses to see what is it real, right? Or he gave people the vision to see a situation when it occurred, to know what you're looking at. That's the hallmarks of a great teacher, right? When you prep your students, when you speak of things and you know you prepare them, right? Because you know that one thing is for certain, two things are for sure, that shit is gonna come about eventually. We learned that in the days of Bobby and Phil. You know what I'm talking about? Delbert and Sadie. You know, they prophesized many things, and there's many more. So tonight, I'm bringing Ross Ben back on the show so he could give us that lecture that he gave a packed room 6 years ago, right? Because this is something that is very, very instrumental in terms of being able to really understand, overstand, understand a lot of the things that are moving on, that are going on, and it will never be talked about on mainstream media, and it will never be talked about on TikTok or even on your Instagram scroll. This information is too much information for to, you know, because you got to scroll shit where you know, this ain't scrollable information. This information comes from a scroll. This information is a scroll. So without any further ado, I need to bring to the floor, into the classroom, you dig, my brother, your brother, our brother, none other than Ross Ben in the building.
Yes,
Hey.
I. Yes, I. Respect.
Right.
Respect.
If we wasn't on YouTube, I play some Capleton and bring you in. I
Yes,
just told my whiz, I was like, you know what? I gotta, you know what? I gotta get back on my Luciano. I gotta get back on my Capleton. And just as men, right? They so unwavering, like the roots and culture reggae artists that I speak of, for people who might not know who I'm referring to, they are so like they so resolved in their stance of Babylon falling and burning, you know, the seriousness of Midnight, the seriousness of Capleton, the seriousness of Luciano. I need to begin to channel that, you know, because, you know, war is war, you know, and those are warriors who make war chants. And when you apply war chants in wartime, it makes sense. The reason why people don't know, they don't have no, them don't have no chance. They talking about they booty hole and everything, and they not at war. They don't have no wartime music on the radio. They don't have no wartime music. The only thing that's really popping is Taliban 2 with Burna Boy. But peep the lingo though, because them talk the man in Jamaica talk about Gaza all day, and the people in Africa talk about Gaza all day. They not calling themselves Mossad. They not referring. They calling themselves the struggler. You feel me? It's Gaza everywhere. Gaza. They evoking Gaza and T dot, and I'm talking about street like rap before the people with the flags and supporting things. I'm just saying through the culture, Gaza versus Gully. A whole crew that run Kingston. I'm talking about that. It ain't just a record label,
right?
A whole movement. So the struggler gonna be the struggler. You don't have to look at, nobody got to tell me who the sufferer or who the struggler or who the freedom fighter is or who's burning Babylon. I was groomed and raised by some teachers who clearly painted the picture, so I'm not fooled. And it bewilders me how many people are fooled these days, you know?
Yes.
But how you doing, brother?
Yeah. I'm thankful, Star. I'm thankful. You know?
Yes.
Got a lot more questions than answers about what's happening right here, right now, today. But like you say, as a student of history, mystery, and prophecy, 40 years in the game, you know,
Yeah.
I've had to study, you know, what we're going to call, is it real?
Yeah.
And what is its place in this time we're in, you know? And,
Right. At this point, willful ignorance for any man them who claim, because you could be into your consciousness, but if you on freedom fighter front line and you uttering the word beast in Babylon and you don't know anything about is it real, and you always dodge that one, like I don't want to learn about that, let's go over there, like at this point, willful ignorance. You don't understand. They say on the battlefield, you got to study your foe. Yeah. Mayweather is able to dodge them hits because he studies his foe. He understands their science and he matches it and supersedes that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, I penetrated that thing a number of years ago. Had the opportunity to share it at the Free Your Mind conferences.
Yes.
Of which I participated in 3 of them. And yeah, man, that opened up, them experiences opened up a lot of portals for me. Even to be honest, that Free Your Mind science came out of one of them Free Your Mind conferences because I was going to present on the mound gritters, like, you know, George Washington and Franklin and all them boys, from a mound gritter perspective, right? And since the name of the conference was Free Your Mind, I was just like, bam, let me, you know, hit them funkadelic style. Free your mound and your mind will follow. Or play on that album, Free Your Mind, and your ass will follow, you know?
Right. So that's called, I don't mean to cut your wisdom. I'm just saying that's called catching lightning in a bottle, because you crystallize that whole magical moment of being at that conference with your tone that you basically, but go ahead, please.
Nah, you're right. you're right. That whole thing kind of evolved out of that, you know.
Right.
But one of the other years I was there, it was like I was, sitting in, like looking for the vision for that year. Like, what am I supposed to focus on? You know,
Right.
and more time I'll get a vision, I'll get a inspiration, you know, quick and easy, because there's enough things to study in the world,
Right. Right.
man. Wasn't nothing coming, wasn't
Right.
nothing coming. They put the schedule out and just had me signed up for, like it says, something like occult history or something, right?
Right.
Deep occult history, that's what it said, because I didn't submit a title, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I studied the schedule, and there was this man named Ken O'Keefe, who was like I guess like one of the headliners. And
Right.
I RAS searched him because I wasn't familiar with him. I RAS searched what he dealt with, and I saw he was involved in like attempting to hold Is It Real and the United States accountable with some international morality as it related to the United Nations.
Right.
So I was like, well, then I'm gonna go ahead and build on that and really show the mystical roots of the youth. Like, because right, I had to do something with deep occult history. That's what them had
Right.
down, right?
And as you broke down in your video, occult is just hidden. It's just the hidden. It's
Hidden
the
history.
deeper level of things.
Exactly. Exactly. So bam, that's how that presentation came together, you know? And right, you was like, Ross, what's your vision? What you see? I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I didn't really have, man, because like I see what's happening. I see what they're reporting. I
Yeah.
guess the deeper questions penetrating me right now is why now? What's
Right.
the bigger agenda? What's the bigger play, at
Yeah.
hand? And so that I'm still looking to articulate. But then, it was like I already
Mm-hmm.
did do some research on this thing, and that's why when I dropped the video on you. Because you're right, this is an archive classic from about 6 or 7 years ago,
Right. And it be like that sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's an
Mhm.
honor to come to the Know the Ledge community and share these mystic roots, because we a big part of it.
That's a
We're a big
fact.
part of this thing,
Are we the lost
Uh,
tribe?
the Lost Tribe, yeah, yeah, yeah. The Lost Foundation here, and on this side, like,
You know.
uh, yeah. You ready to jump into this thing?
Yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right, you got that PDF, right?
Yes. You want me to go with the first one?
Yeah, yeah. We'll get to A Star in the West, but let's start with the which
That
from.
was the one that I needed from you, the Star in the West. I have the deep occult history one.
All right, don't worry about Star in the West.
Okay.
We'll inform the audience that it is a free online PDF, and you
Yeah, we'll
know,
make it available on the Patreon. That'll
there
be
you go,
available for all of
there
our
you
people
go,
signing up for
there you go.
free for 48 hours. And then you know what I mean? It'll be available for 48 hours. I'll drop the link for everybody to pull up on the Patreon. Like I said, it don't cost you nothing if you want to do it like that. But if you want to do it like that, then we got tiers, and you're welcome to be a member. Because like I said, if they ever come and take this page, I'm on the last toe and I'm
Uh,
going hard. You feel
uh,
me? I
uh,
refuse to sit around and talk about gossip or the BET awards and shit
uh.
like that right now when it's going down. I'm standing on my square and I'm doing what I gotta do. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be me if I didn't do it like that. So, while other people's tiptoe through the tulips, I'm gonna teach the people. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
yeah, we could get into it.
All right, Star. Let's go ahead.
All right.
All right. So before we even jump into this, uh, hey, is the slide is what them see or me? There you go.
Yep.
All right. I want us to keep something in our minds, in our heavens, right? Let's say you're a man, you consider yourself a man of power and influence, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you consider yourself a magi,
Yes.
right? How is the most powerful way you can express your powers, right? Or what's the, another way we could say, what's the ultimate form of magic? It's the control, manipulation, and determination of historic and prophetic timelines,
Yes.
right? So now, you study anybody in history that has the, you know, greatest influence in the arc of time. The
Right.
trajectory of space time experience is what we call human history. The story most people tell themselves and they haven't. This
Right.
is
To
what
form
they,
their reality.
this is what they doing, right? So generally speaking, there's four nefarious ways of doing this, and one beneficent. I'm going to
Mm.
go ahead and say the beneficent way now because hopefully it's what we're all doing. All right. And that is the fulfillment of prophecy through redeeming your familiar and ancestral bloodline.
Mm.
That's
Okay.
one beneficent, the one good creating way to control and manipulate and determine
The blood,
your
right? The time.
family's and ancestral, historic, and prophetic timeline.
And
It's
that would be
redeeming,
procreating.
huh?
That
Yeah,
would
that's,
be
of course, the
procreation.
circle. We got to keep the circle of life tight.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's a big part of it. But also, you know, every man's path and story and reasons for redemption, it's all in your DNA, man. So healing yourself and working out
Mm.
that trauma and drama. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's, you know, what you and your bloodline need to do for redemption will, it'll become obvious.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So that's the one beneficent way. We should all be working at that. But there are four nefarious ways that we need to be aware of because these are the ways that, you know, nefarious cats is manipulating historic and prophetic events. And this is a part of what we're witnessing today. All right. Next slide, Star. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So these are the four nefarious ways. The first is called anathema, which is an ancient technique, you know, going back really from like Babylon and Rome and all them boys, right?
Right.
Anathema means to make as if it never existed. So
Mm.
in the Roman imperial world, the book of Enoch was made anathema as if it never existed. So not
Right.
only were all copies of Enoch destroyed, and priests and orders that based their teachings on and not annihilated. But all other scriptures that had Enochian influence and Enochian uh, teachings embedded in
Right.
it, all of them were eliminated too. That's what became what they call Apocrypha or the hidden text.
Right.
So, another way to manipulate a prophetic timeline is to actually pervert or distort the prophetic teachings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Example of that could be how Revelations chapter 3 became known as the prophecy of the Church of Philadelphia. What happened was there was a Ptolemaic pharaoh named Ptolemy Philadelphus who founded the Library of Alexandria. And when he did that, he had all the ancient scriptures translated into Greek. And when he had that opportunity, he wrote his family and his bloodline into end time prophecy, meaning
Mm.
the community to receive grace on Judgment Day. That's what the
Mm.
prophecy of the Church of Philadelphia is all about, right? So that's an example of how you can pervert or distort prophetic teachings. There are many other ways and many other examples we could use, but I'll
Right.
give you that one. Another is to read prophecy and then enact historic events to prevent that prophecy from being fulfilled. Okay? Uh, there's so many examples of that. Uh, even what I would say, what we're witnessing today can be looked at as an example of that, right? But the most relevant one that I wanted to get to because it gives us the proper lens for studying is it real? Okay? Read prophecy, then enact historic events that mimic fulfillment, but ultimately serve a nefarious intention. Okay?
Mm. Real quick,
Please.
back to the read prophecy, then enact historic events to prevent the prophecy from being fulfilled. So would that tie into J. Edgar Hoover's preventing the rise of the Black Messiah?
There you go, Star. Great example. Great relevant example. Thank you.
Especially these being that these people are messianic people to the extreme because their whole thing is waiting for the Messiah to come back. I'm talking about the is it real people.
Yes. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So these are the four nefarious ways to manipulate historic and prophetic timelines.
Right.
Now, usually when I do these reasonings, the one example I use, but I don't want to get super deep in it, that's this also the technology and the Philadelphia experiment and all them things. They
Right. I would say that's a part of 3 and 4.
It's definitely yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like number
Yes.
three. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
So
And some world wars will go in there too.
there you go, brother. You know what it is.
Yes, sir.
Script them writing the script they want to keep us on. I guess what we could call this doomsday endgame prophecy.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would make sense to why the presidents would be controlled by a specific body of politic or a specific religion or religious body like a pope or you feel me, and why they were tripping out when they thought that there was some type of Muslim influence on
Uh,
a president like Obama,
uh,
because that would take away from the fact that he's being utilized to manipulate the timeline by controlling the timeline, because he's one of those chess pieces that could be used to basically fulfill prophecy.
yes.
and Trump was also he's almost the poster child of that, and we'll talk about that. If we could talk about that now, but yeah,
Let's proceed.
okay. So Trump, it was said that he was the prophetic president because of the move that he made when he was talking about the third temple in Jerusalem.
Uh,
That's when they went
uh,
crazy.
uh,
That's when the evangelicals, and that's when they got behind him and said that he's fulfilling prophecy. So when I heard that, I was like, what the hell they mean by that? And it forced me to go do a little bit of deep diving, and then it tied me in, and then that's when I got tied into the relationship between evangelical Christians over here and the Zionists over there. But then I was like, Blue said one of the biggest prophecies was the 44th king.
uh.
All right. But then I was like, I used to be confused because I'm like, the so-called with so-called white supremacists, I thought they were banging on the Yahudis, right? I thought they were banging on the small hats, but then they
Right,
favoring them.
right,
Yeah. So then my studies showed me that as long as the prophecy is being fulfilled, that'll manipulate and throw the timeline off, then they all for it. So a president like Trump was tolerated because he showed early on, look, I'm willing to do the bidding of this quote unquote to manipulate this timeline.
right.
I'm going to create because he's accredited for
I
creating
think
what they call alternative reality.
I think what he was going to do is move the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, and at the same time supporting the right wing factions over there
Right.
in building this temple on a site sacred to Muslims, the Mound of the Rock or something like that.
The third holiest site in all of Islam after
Right,
Mecca and Medina would
right,
be the Mount.
right.
And prophetic revelations, right? So Trump moved the embassy to Jerusalem, and that sets up the third temple. Yes, the Temple Mount, right? This
Yeah,
is part of prophecy.
this is all a part of, like, you know, this is really ultimately where we're going with all of this, to explain why they got to build this temple in Jerusalem. What's this thing all about? You know,
Yes.
because right, I can't say nothing about the moves we see today. I'm still looking for how does this play in, but I do know there's this other script going down as far as you know, what's going on with this temple being built in the New Jerusalem.
Well, according to the narrative, right? According to the narrative that we're being sold, keep in mind, I'm aware that we are in an information war, but I got this from Hamas, and we don't know if they're, we still questioning how compromised they may be in the sense of things.
Right, because I will say it's my understanding Hamas was founded by Israel.
They are right. They're a creation like how USA and helped to create the Taliban in
Exactly,
Afghanistan,
exactly,
right? So when we see that there's leadership at the top, once you create something, you control something.
exactly.
I've never been anywhere where something gets created and then if it's not in your control, like I don't know how that works.
Right,
There was always a line of communication if you initiated a whole party and whatnot, right? So yes, I agree. What they're saying is this is entitled the the al damn. I'm getting it. Let me go ahead and Google. I don't want to say it the wrong way, but it's basically the name of the campaign is to protect the quote unquote masjid that they were violating on the Temple Mount.
uh,
Okay. And they were attempting to sacrifice goats. This is about the goat sacrifice that they kept attempting. And they also violated the Al-Aqsa flood. They also violated Al-Aqsa during Ramadan.
uh,
Okay. So there were violations that were compounding on one another. But the final straw was the goat sacrifice. Now, the goat sacrifice is meant to protect who? The children. And they're invoking nothing but child sacrifice throughout this whole campaign. Henceforth, why people are completely down right now. Okay. Because of this energy that's being this is a nefarious energy. And Alaska is ran by Jordan. Yes, and we're going to get into that as well, because we see Jordan starting Jordan is 23. We're seeing Jordan beginning to build up their animosity.
uh, uh,
What if something were to happen in terms of warfare in the masjid, because they already were bombing masjids in Gaza? What if something happens and they violate that masjid? What would that mean for, would that be completely um a green light for the whole Muslim world to react?
right. That's what
Mm-hmm.
that's a very real possibility. This is definitely fodder for a global conflict, a world war, man. You know,
Right.
it's definitely fodder for that.
And I
And
also have to, I mean to cut your whiz, but I have to also remind the family that the whole movement of transhumanism, the whole movement of man living past a certain age, the whole movement of what they call the Superman or the Ubermensch, right? That Friedrich Nietzsche and them talked about, Germans. That whole movement of man merging with machine, man becoming the super warrior, man having to do something going to that extreme because it's so dangerous, right? All of that is coming from, is it real?
yes,
All of that.
yes. And is a real paid Fauci $1 million in the middle of that lockdown thing when he
Um,
when he
Not
was
only that, Big Pharma, the top 100, all right there.
yeah,
You feel me?
yeah,
When you talk about the chemicals, ecstasy, and all of that, right there.
uh,
All of that. The
uh,
whole designer drug industry, come right there. So all of this is it's the Yakubian thing. It's the lab. You know what I mean? It's like what you talk about when you break down the pale fox. This is the home of the pale fox, y'all.
true, true,
This is the pale fox.
uh,
If there was a pale fox, this is he.
this is he,
This is he. Right here. I showed the map to show the sexual offenders that are right on the strip of Tel Aviv, right
uh,
next to Gaza. Yeah, I'm talking about. It was so many red dots, my G. It was so many red dots, bro. This shit looked like a Pac-Man game with so many pellets on that map.
wow,
You feel me? This is the home of LBGQ.
uh,
If anybody don't know,
uh,
it's the home next to Jerusalem. We talking about. They were talking about women and children coming up missing before the conflict. Imagine what's happening now
uh,
with building, with all of the displacement. Imagine what's happening now, man. This is where children, this is where organs, a lot of this stuff is going down right here. That land has been desecrated. And I don't know how it's been Once again, it must be a very strategic information war that's being waged because they keep people away from certain information.
Hmm. True.
But shall we continue?
Say what?
Shall we continue with the slides?
There, yeah, yes, star. I'm ready.
Yes. But this is powerful. It is for, please, y'all, screenshot the 4 timelines and be able to really take this in. Okay.
All right, we could transcend this one.
I,
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut your wisdom. You had dropped this in the lecture, and I thought it was profound about the victim thing, though.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah, you bodied that.
we can reason on this. So look, when you talk about deep occult history, right?
Yes.
And you really want to go deep, like you want to penetrate what you say the deepest mysteries,
Super
right?
occult.
This ain't gonna be nothing uh go find in a library or Barnes and Noble or just on the internet. Like this thing has to, be revealed to you through mystical revelation, which
Yes.
is something that's tied in to your own spiritual growth and evolution, as well as your relationship to the flow of space time. Space time is like a a stream, a current, a flow, right? What's you in this flow? What you swimming upstream? You in a torrent getting banged up on rocks,
Right.
with how you moving in that flow is really going to determine how you see space time and
Yes.
how space time you can put yourself in a position where the you say deep occult mysteries of space time, you're able to penetrate it, reveal itself to you. You can see what it is, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, how do you put yourself in that position? First is take responsibility for your place and your condition in space time, right?
Very important. That's like
That's real
strapping in.
important. That's real important. I hear others talking about how other people's ancestors is responsible for their place and their condition. I don't
Right.
hear them talk. I feel like my ancestors are more responsible for my place and my position right now in space time than other.
Than anybody. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
me personally,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
I would say if you want to be in alignment with the flow of space time, that is a healthier perspective, you know,
I
uh,
say.
because it gives you continuity within your bloodline and what's happening right here and now, you know,
Yes.
and aligned with that too. You can't be on that victim villain uh, paradigm, right? Because then what
Hmm.
story are you telling yourself? And
Right.
more time, if you really study it, one man's villain is the next person,
Mhm.
next person's they victimized themselves. And, you know, is that the story you're going to have you and your bloodline caught up in and relate to space time on that level?
Mm.
Nah, I don't know how well that'll serve you,
Right.
or how long it'll serve you. It might serve you for a minute, but flow of space time is eternal. At some point, you're gonna have to transcend that, you know.
Bars.
Uh, and why is all of this relevant? Because historic timelines come full circle. We know in the
Historic.
study of basic geometry They say if you extend the line as far,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna meet
It's
itself.
gonna meet itself, right?
So historic timelines come full circle. So again, that's why we got to really say, hey, uh, you know, uh,
Mm-hmm.
we responsible for this thing. And
Right.
it's when we can move like that, right? Space time, our relationship with space time is transcendent, you know? We can get out of the karma loops that
Right.
might have been entwined in our genetics, and
Mm.
beyond that too, space time. We're in a position where we can see some of the deeper mysteries. So, yeah, man, it's another thing to hold in our heavens when we uh, study history, mystery, and prophecy.
Mm. History, mystery, or prophecy. Mhm. All right, next slide.
Yes, I. All right, I already mentioned this. That you know. So look, why is this real relevant? Because Philadelphia and Is It Real? They the same thing. They're Philadelphia is a city that really represents the resurrection of the Republic of Rome. United States represents the resurrection of the Empire of
Right.
Rome. And it was birthed to mimic fulfillment of a prophetic timeline, but have a
Mm-hmm.
whole nefarious intention built in it, right?
Right.
And those that keep up with my works, I'm sure, this ain't nothing new. That
Right.
William Penn didn't name Philadelphia because he wanted a place of brotherly love. He was attempting what is known historically as William Penn's holy experiment,
Mm.
which is more or less, if I just put it in simplest words, William Penn's prayer. This is the William Penn's holy experiment is embodied in William Penn's prayer, which
Okay.
more or less says, "Hey God, if I could make a colony, if I can create a colony where the people I colonize and the gathered churches of London can get together in oneness, may my colony be saved on Judgment Day," right?
Mm-hmm.
But the unspoken dimension to that is that these boys studied. They studied the Table of Nations. They studied the Book of Enoch. They studied, and they identified the people who they felt like, yeah, these are the ones who are really prophesized to receive grace on Judgment Day. And they found the place where they was like, wow, if we're at this place,
Yeah.
we'll be able to witness Judgment Day, but not cast a judgment, right?
Mm.
So they called the people serotypes. They also called them, and these are like the early Rosicrucians who were the ones really masterminding this, right?
Right.
William Portage, Jane Lead, William Markham, the Penns, Jacob Boheme, Christian Rosencruz. These are
Right.
archetypes. These are the ones that were the masterminds of this, stealing this prophetic birthright.
And you call them the serotypes?
Like that's what they called the people they were looking for.
Okay.
Stereotypes. That was one name that they
Mm.
called them. But
Okay.
specifically in Jane Lead's Prophecies of the Church of Philadelphia. Okay.
Right.
And
And T. Solomon said they were deists and masters of dogma.
yes. So Another name that they gave these people was the woman in the wilderness. Okay, Johann Kelp, the first Rosicrucian who lived in a cave here in Philadelphia. The name of his order was the Society of the Woman in the Wilderness. And the place where they said you could witness Judgment Day and not catch it, they called it the 40th parallel in the wilderness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is even the greater and deeper mysteries of Denver and Boulder, Colorado. How they got the the Space Force
Mm-hmm.
based out of there now, and they've built Denver like with the whole airport and uh, all the bases out there to be like a post-apocalyptic place of governance, right?
Right.
And it's all on the 40th parallel. And all those mysteries associated with the murals in the Denver airport and underground bases and all of that. It's top, what they attempted here in Philly, they perfected out there.
Mm. Okay.
But yeah, we could go to the next slide. So yeah, we already mentioned that
Yes.
this is tied into William Penn's Holy Experiment. I already mentioned how Philadelphia, the name of Philadelphia, found its way into Revelations chapter 7. Okay, it was the sixth. There's a message to 7 churches in Revelations chapter 3. 6 of the churches catch a judgment. There's only one church that receives a benevolent prophecy. And that
Mm-hmm.
prophecy is that they'll be saved in the hour of trial that'll come upon the whole earth, right? And that prophecy is bestowed onto the Church of Philadelphia. This itself is a manipulation of prophecy that was enacted by Ptolemy Philadelphus, who was the founder of the Library of Alexandria. And
Mm.
he used the opportunity of translating prophecy
Right.
from
On the
Hebrew
scrolls.
to Greek.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, we can keep moving.
Interesting. Interesting. So that would make sense why they call it the city of brotherly love, because in William Penn's experiment, he's like, if we could show brotherly love, then we'll be spared.
Nah, really, the brother, so Philadelphia means lover of the same womb, right?
Okay.
And Ptolemy Philadelphus received that name because
Mm-hmm.
he married his sister, Arsinoe II, and
Right.
they became known as the Philadelphii, or the brother sister gods in Greek Hellenistic state religion, you know.
Right. Right.
So uh, that's why Ptolemy Philadelphus got that name
Okay.
of the Philadelphii, and uh, it gets much deeper, but that is for another night.
Okay. Let's move
Yeah,
forward.
yeah. All right. Here is the actual prophecy. Since you have kept my command to endure patiently, I will keep you from the hour of trial that is going to come upon the whole world to test the inhabitants of the earth. So this
Mm.
is the prophecy that Ptolemy Philadelphia stole for his community. And this was the prophecy William Penn was attempting to invert such that it fell on resurrected Rome here in the West, through
Right.
William Penn's Holy Experiment.
Right.
Yes. All right, this is showing those 3 key characters I was telling you about.
The
William
Rosicrucian.
Portage, Jane Lee, William Markham. These were characters who created in London what was known as the Philadelphian Society,
Mm.
basically a Rosicrucian order that met on a regular basis with the intention of birthing Philadelphia, with this intention of stealing the prophetic birthright in mind, you know?
Right.
All of this is what's embedded in the mystery of City Hall here, right? I ain't gonna get all deep into this tonight, but yeah, we could go to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, let's,
Architecture.
yeah. But it's on City Hall. We could go to the next one.
There we go.
Yeah, we ain't, I'm not even, yeah, here's William Penn's prayer, uh, which is engraved on City Hall, right?
Okay.
And he says, "My soul prays to God for thee, that thou may stand in the day of trial,
Mm.
that my children may be blessed in the Lord, and thy people by his power." All right. So here's his prayer engraved on City Hall. Again, an
Right.
attempt to capture that prophetic uh,
Prophecy.
birthright and prophecy for this
His
colony.
people.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting.
All right. So uh, now another reason we say Philadelphia was also born to steal the birthright of God's favor from who they considered the
The
lost
lost
tribes of
tribe.
Israel, to advance Rome's crusade.
Mm.
What was Rome's crusade all about? Retaking the Holy Land, right?
Right. Right.
So if you could just say what was their intention in, plain English, they wanted to find those who prophecy said were going to be the ones to create the new Jerusalem. Prophecy said these was the ones who's going to create the new Jerusalem. And they felt like, hey, if we find them, they're the ones who by birthright are going to be able to retake Jerusalem. So let's use them in our crusade.
Right.
Okay. All right. Next slide. Yeah. So there were many what we call founding fathers uh, who considered the Algonquin speakers of the Americas to be the lost tribes of Israel, the Lenni Lenape of where we are now, in Philadelphia, them being,
Delaware.
yeah,
Jersey.
yeah, New York,
New York. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Shout
uh,
out to Turtle Gang.
yeah, big up, salute.
Salute,
Uh,
bro.
yeah, they were like, yeah, these Algonquin speakers, they the lost tribes. So you're
Mm.
Kelp, William Penn, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, right? All of these boys. This is like what they operated out of.
Right. Right.
Next slide. They were informed by a peer of theirs, a man named James Adair. He was a close friend with, all of them cats we just mentioned. In
Right.
1775, he wrote The History of American Indians, where he presented 23 arguments that he felt proved that these Algonquin speakers were the lost tribes. And
Right.
it was the way they organized their tribes, which is usually in a system of 12 or 13. Uh, their name of the Most High, uh, their ideas of the Most High, angels and ancestors, right?
Mm.
Next slide. Yeah, their language and their dialects, their calendar systems, the nature of their prophets and high priests, their festivals, fasts, and religious rites, their sacrifices. Proceed. The way they cleaned and anointed themselves, their laws around uncleanliness, their abstinence of unclean things, laws around marriage, divorce, and adultery, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that these were cities of refuge, which is very important. Next slide. Their purification ceremonies, their ornaments, their manner of wellness and curing the sick, burial of the dead, mourning of the dead, right? Raising seed of relatives. Next
Mm.
slide. Their names, how like the way they name themselves
Right. To
by
reflect the times.
exactly, as well as their own traditions of what they said, where they came from, and who they are.
Right.
So these were the 23 arguments James Adair used to say that, these Algonquin speakers, they're lost tribes. And again, many of the so-called founding fathers or significant people in the founding of the nation, particularly early members of the Rosy Cross or people that were influenced by the Rosy Cross, Rosicrucian order.
Right.
This was their perspective. And why
Right.
it's relevant is because it influenced national policy and it influenced what was going on early in the nation. And to understand that, we got to study one man in particular. That's
Chief.
next slide, Star.
We got Chief Tammany.
Yes, who is the patron saint of the U.S. I will get into that.
Okay.
I'll get deeper into that. But we got to study this man right here because he did a lot to build national policy around this knowledge. His name was Elias Boudinot. He was born right here in Philadelphia. He was the fourth president of the Continental Congress. He was actually president of the Continental Congress during the War of Independence. All right. And
Mm.
go back, let me make sure I got all of them points. And yes, he was a signer of the Declaration of the Independence. All right. Yes, I. Yeah, we go on. Yeah. Right here in Philadelphia, his community, like where his estate, his family's estate was. He was came from a wealthy family, and I think we would call it the Rose Hill Mound community, right?
Mm.
It's an elevated community right off of Route 1, Roosevelt Boulevard, near Rising Sun Ave, Rose Hill Cemetery, and St. Ambrose Rectory are kind of like what things mounds masquerading as
Right. As
modern.
public displays. Right.
Yeah. That's
Because you broke down how they'll take a burial mound and make it their cemetery by
exactly.
placing their bodies on top of ours. They somewhat usurp our energy.
There you go. This is what's happening in this area of Philadelphia, which
Mm.
is a legacy of the Boudinot estate. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. So in 1782, he wrote and ratified the peace treaty with England. And he was also appointed by George Washington to be the first director of the U.S. Mint. These two feats of this man are related. Because U.S. currency was not recognized on the global market as having any value until it became an instrument of debt to pay for war. And Elias Boudinot was the, you know, orchestrator of that. So yeah, that's relevant today where, you know, how many trillions of dollars in debt is this nation and how does it relate to all the wars and war debt accumulated? Boudinot set this thing in motion really with the founding of the nation, you know?
Mm.
Yeah,
You're a major player.
major player. Next, where we can proceed. Yeah, but what's most relevant here is that Boudinot wrote a book named The Star in the West, a humble attempt. Listen to the subtitle, y'all. A humble attempt to discover the long lost 10 tribes of Israel, preparatory to their return to their beloved city, Jerusalem.
Jerusalem.
So, this is what we're talking about, where a whole part of establishing Philadelphia, which again itself was all about manipulating a prophetic timeline.
Right.
They wanted Boudinot was when we talk about a magi who is doing his best to set in motion a manipulation of a prophetic timeline, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, there's one man who could we say did this thing. Is this man here? Because he's probably more responsible for what we're witnessing today
Wow.
than, you know, not too many other people we can name, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and our role in it, you know. Next slide. Yeah, so just to summarize it, yo, there's a free PDF online. So
Mm-hmm.
y'all can pull that thing up and read it yourself. Don't believe Ross Ben. You know, don't believe me on this thing. Read this thing for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But what Boudinot said that hey, the Algonquin are the lost tribes, and the U.S. have an opportunity to unite these lost tribes with their Jewish brethren. And we know who he means by Jewish brethren, the Ashkenaz. Next slide. Both of these groups can then unite under a Christian banner and be the salvation for all mankind. And
Mm.
the providence of these lost tribes, providence meaning what? God,
Favor.
God's favor, God's
Right.
protection, the prophetic birthright that, yo, these is going to be the ones to create the new Jerusalem. That if
Mm.
we use the providence of these lost tribes, the United States would lead the way into the new millennium. And this is harping into what we would call millennial prophecy or the prophecy of the 1,000 years of peace, which is ultimately what the new Jerusalem is supposed to bring. 1,000 years of peace, where the deceivers of the nation is cast into the abyss, you know?
Right.
So, yeah. Boudinot obviously knew what end time prophecy was supposed to be and was manipulating it in a nefarious way.
Right. He was
Yeah.
shifting. He was shifting the paradigms.
Yes. All right, let's keep it moving. So, yeah, basically he said that if we, do this, it'll culminate with the indigenous Americans leading the United States into a rebuilt New Jerusalem.
Wow.
In other words, using Algonquin prophetic birthright to advance Rome's crusade. Okay. Next slide. So, what can we say? What is it really state today? The near fulfillment of Boudinot's magical attempt of manipulating a prophetic timeline. You know,
Mm.
like I say, this, we could go down the rabbit hole and name other people who uh, have a big hand in this. You know what I'm saying? John
Right.
D.
John D. Rockefeller.
John D. Yeah, there's a lot of others. A
I
lot of
mean, I would assume if they belong to a society and an organization that, they all gonna start stepping, they're gonna get busy. It's not just one name out there.
exactly. But
And
this character, Elias Boudinot, just
yes,
in terms of his works, man,
he put in
he-
that work.
he's pivotal. We gotta rock. Like, if you really wanna get into these mystic roots, you gotta study this man's writings and his legacy. Let's
Right.
keep moving. We'll share a little more of this man's legacy. Okay. Uh this is a big part of it. He
Okay.
spearheaded an organization in colonial and newly born
Going
United
to
States
America. Right.
named the American Society for the Amelioration of the Condition of the Jews. This is the you know colonial and early national precursor to APAC,
APAC. Okay.
the American Israel Public Affairs Committee,
Mm.
which got Congress by the balls today.
Mm-hmm.
He created the forerunner to APAC. Okay.
Mm. Right.
And so when we see things like, if I'm sure many of your know the ledge community pay attention and remember Benjamin Netanyahu came over here during Obama. I think it was when Obama was in office.
Yeah.
Went and
Skipped them.
he stepped right before Congress and
Right.
addressed Congress directly.
Right.
That happened, man? What kind
Right.
of protocol is being violated and ignored with them things,
Right.
Uh, how can that happen? This is how it can happen.
You
Because
gotta have super. Yeah.
APAC's roots run deep, man, all the way back to the 1700s, 1800s,
Mm.
you know,
Early forming.
early forming. Next slide. Yeah. Boudinot wrote another book called The Age of Revelation, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
which when you study it, this is the foundation of what we would
Event.
call American evangelicalism. Okay.
Damn.
All the major tenets of evangelicalism, right? That America, United States, is a Christian nation charged with some important end time prophecy mission it has to fulfill.
Right.
Christians should use Judaism against Islam to retake Jerusalem, right?
Mm.
All of these principles and tenets
It's
that
in that book.
this is right here. It's the
Mm.
foundation of it, you know? Uh,
Interesting.
yeah. Beyond writing Age of Revelation and founding evangelicalism in 1815, he helped found the American Bible Society and became the first president of the American Bible Society.
Mm.
So, back in the day, you'd go into a hotel and there was a Bible in every room,
Yep.
right? And you used to have characters walking around the streets handing out Bibles,
Bibles. Yep.
right? This is Boudinot's legacy,
Mm.
okay? And you know, you have him tell it. This was his greatest accomplishment, his greatest achievement, and the thing he was most proud of is founding the American Bible Society. Okay.
Interesting.
Yes. Uh, his two works, A Star in the West and Age of Revelation, combined, are the foundation of Mormonism. Okay. Which, a Mormonism, we got to study it. It's what's
Yes.
considered America's true religion, the one
Mm.
religion born out of the American experience, right?
Right.
And many of the tenets of Mormonism, Indians are Israelites, Americans are Israelites who are Christian either by blood or oath, that the Constitution is a divinely inspired document. All of
Right.
these tenets of Mormonism, Boudinot is he's the source, he's the archetype of all of these ideas, you know.
Wow.
And also, too, this explains why Mormons are obsessed with genealogy and
Yeah.
bloodline tracing
Yes. Yes. They the center.
because they want to know who is who. Uh, and even a lot of those agendas you spoke of earlier, the transhumanist agenda,
Yes.
these boys is big into them things as well, you know.
Mm.
This,
Interesting.
yeah, and you know,
Interesting.
yeah,
Psychology and everything.
all of that. All right,
Yeah.
let's keep it moving. All right. Well, another thing, another big legacy of Boudinot. He created the first boarding school for Indian children and began the policy of culturally displacing indigenous children through institutionalization.
Mm.
Prototype, the archetype master student that, boy, if we can do them like this, like, we
Right.
in like gravy. He was a Cherokee man named Galagina Uwati. He was also known as Buck Wati, right? This dude, they mind polluted him so deep. They corrupted him in this institution so deeply, right? He
Mm-hmm.
changed his name to guess what? What do you think this man changed his name to, man?
After Buck Watsi,
Yeah, after Buck Wati,
it will only have to be the name of his slave master.
Elias Boudinot, man.
God damn.
This nigga named himself Elias Boudinot.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah, outrageous, right? But what's even deep about it is the more crazier role he played in history, where he called himself being the representative of the Cherokee people. And he
wow.
signed the Treaty of Nui Chota in 1835, which more or less said, hey, we'll leave our ancestral land and make that Trail of Tears march west into Oklahoma, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. That's
All
his legacy, you know? Under the
super
name Elias Boudinot. Man,
Elias Boudinot, Bomba
oh man.
Clyde,
Oh
Fire Bun. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. So, Boudinot's legacy is deep, man. Yeah.
Boudinot, yeah.
So look, when he presented his book, A Star in the West, to the Society of the Cincinnati, which was basically, all right, so the importance of the Society of the Cincinnati. If I can I'm gonna do my best to say it quickly.
Yes.
We know one of the tenets this nation was founded on was no inherited birthright. Couldn't be no king or nobleman and inherit a political office or a place of power through your birthright, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you had officers of the American Revolution and their French counterparts who felt like they had blood and skin in the game and that,
Right.
you know, they deserved some birthright powers in the
Right.
country.
They
So
wanted PC.
they created the Society of the Cincinnati, and that's who they are.
Okay.
Consider themselves the true Americans
Okay.
because they fought in the revolution and they created the nation, right?
Right.
So when Boudinot presented a star in the West to them, right? These dudes was like, yo, we're gonna adopt an indigenous American identity. And they changed their name to the Tammany Society
Mm.
after Chief Tammany, the patron, and they made Chief Tammany the patron saint of the United States. So, when these cats would pray to the patron saint for
Right.
providence, who were they praying to? Chief
Indian.
Tammany. This is all Boudinot's legacy, man.
Wow.
Okay?
So I'm sorry to cut your wisdom,
Oh, please.
Ross.
I'm listening.
I got light up.
Please.
Oh
I got a
Lord.
good one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Map the rules. The thing rolled up a
I don't see the
rose.
chat. I don't see the chat, but I hope
Jack going brazy.
you did. All right,
Yeah,
give
Jack
thanks.
going brazy.
Give thanks, brother.
Similar to how Saint Maurice, right? The Theban patron saint of Germany was being quote unquote prayed to in the war World 2 and 1. It was told to me that Saint Maurice was the patron saint of Nazi Germany. Is that
Yeah,
true?
that is true, brother. The Theban legions of Saint Maurice, because the Theban legions of Saint Maurice founded what they call the First and Second Reichs. You know how Nazi Germany was the Third Reich.
The third right. Yes.
Well, the First and Second Reichs were founded by the Moors.
Mm,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, right. All right. We gonna get into that.
That's
We're
for
gonna go
another day.
for a whole nother
For another day,
build and
brother.
whatnot. Yeah, that's a whole
But
nother
that
pyramid
is
that we're gonna
good
put together.
correspondence, though.
Huh?
That's a great correspondence. How these characters, through the inspiration of Boudinot and stealing the prophetic birthright, adopted a patron saint of someone they slew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's wild.
Like
It's wild.
skeleton key.
Uh, uh.
But let's remember these people are, you mentioned the Moors, that this what they perfected that in Moorish Spain, and they perfected that over in Europe, adopting the identity of the ones they slew. They did it in Spain, they did it in Germany, they
Yeah,
did it in France, they did it
yeah.
in Italy. So this is something that they came to America, I think, already perfect. Or they helped to perfect it more here, but it already kind of big. It started change clothes.
I got you.
Yeah. So the Tammany Society was built out of the Society of the Cincinnati, and Cincinnati breaks down to the Seven Hills, right?
City of Seven Hills. Yeah.
City of Seven Hills, and that's in that would be a hallmark of Roman society.
Yes, that's the poetic name of Rome.
Okay.
And this again, this is what these cats was over here attempting to do: resurrect Rome.
And they called it Nova Roma, correct?
I'm not sure.
New Rome. They said that Paris was the last Rome
Uh,
prior to the building of this over here as being the
uh.
new Rome.
All right, give thanks.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Let's continue.
Yeah, man.
Here
All
we
right.
go.
All right. I already mentioned this.
Okay.
That the whole thing with the
With the
peace
treaty and the
treaty
debt.
and the U.S. Mint. So
Right.
U.S. coinage, it ain't mean nothing until it was an instrument to pay off debt. Rich man,
Mm,
poor dad. What he say? What does he say? Money is.
coins.
Money is debt.
Money is debt, right?
This is why.
Mm.
This is why.
He's the
Money
one
is
that set it
instrument
up.
of debt. You know.
Yeah.
All right. Keep it moving.
Treaty terms show that they set the pattern. Okay.
Yeah. One thing else. Yeah. Go back. One thing else I will mention. Right. Is when you study the treaty. Remember, this man wrote and ratified the peace treaty. That'd be like if
Right.
me and you was on a team, right?
Right.
And it was like, yeah, we're gonna make this decision together. But
Right.
then I write the shit up and then sign off on it and tell you afterwards what it is.
What did it? Right. That's what they doing.
That's how we did. But the fourth
Lord God.
article of the peace treaty with England states both sides must pay their debt. So now,
Mm.
let me ask you this. I'm at war with you, right?
Right.
And for whatever reason, we say, all right, enough is enough. We ain't gonna fight no more, right?
Right. No. Yeah. No mas.
Why would I be worried about what you do with your money?
Right. That don't got nothing to do with me.
And why would you be worried about what I'm doing with my money?
Not at the end of no war.
Not the end of the war, but the fourth article of the peace treaty that this man wrote and ratified
Right.
says that both sides must pay their war debt. What the fuck?
That
What that
means that
tells
somebody
me,
was funding it.
yeah, Boudinot set the pattern of the U.S. going into debt, war debt, to the people that are funding both sides.
Mm.
That's that's this legacy, man.
That's where that a name always comes up in that conversation, and it's Lord, and it rhymes with
Rockefeller.
Clothchild, huh?
Who's that?
Lord
Oh,
Rothschild, Rothschild.
Rothschild. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
you know, I remember coming up, and we didn't even know if they were real or not because the way that the story was told. We talking behold the pale horse days.
Yes.
It's the foundation of a lot of this, a lot of information that enlightened us about the Red Shield, William Cooper.
Yes. Salute.
Yeah, salute. So let's move forward
Yeah, man.
with my dude Budo. He's
All right. All of this is
I shot a
memorialized.
video right here.
Yeah, all of this is memorialized in Philly. Uh, you know, I guess we would call it How to Steal a Prophetic Birthright. And
Right.
it was memorialized on the Kelly Drive Walk, starting at Eakins Oval, right in front of the Philadelphia Museum of Art. First step, you got to assassinate the matriarchal governance. And people that's, if y'all have seen my works, I focus on this uh, statue a lot, right? This is probably one of the most important statues to decode in the world.
Mm. Rosh, I shot a video on that statue, right?
Yeah, I think I watched it the other day. It was called Sherman
Herman
Hemsley.
Hemsley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I watched it the other day. He was at the
And
gates of hell.
huh?
He was at the gates of hell.
I was at the gates of hell, right?
I
But
even saw you
spirit,
at Mama K's Power Center.
yeah, Mama K's
Yeah,
Power Center with Haas B.
salute Haas.
Yeah, shout
Salute
out to
Mama K.
Look. we gonna act. I'm gonna bring my director Mathino on. That all none of that was all spirit.
Mm,
Everything. Sabir's in the video with me, and I'm giving him a watermelon. We did not know Sabir was in town. All
uh,
spirit, yo.
uh,
Promise you. So something brought me directly to this statue right here. This is
uh,
the first scene that we shot when I got off the plane. I saw the rocky steps and everything, and I was like, nah. And I just kept walking. I was like, shoot, let's shoot right here. Spirit brought me directly. Spirit brought me to the gates of hell too. But let's
uh,
continue.
uh. So yeah, and then we go to the next slide. Here's the indigenous queen chained to her throne. If you look down by her
Her
feet,
feet.
see
She
the
got the chain
chain,
right there.
right? And she's flanked by two colonists. One is extending a wreath, which embodies, hey, come be a part of Rome. The
Mm,
other is tipping a cap, is the original cap up. But we know they both have nefarious intentions. Why? They got cloaked daggers. They got
mm.
daggers covered with cloaks.
We're close, right?
So they getting ready to take her out. Here,
Bomba clock.
here's the cap up. We see the wreath. We see the dagger, right?
Yes.
Queen is holding a trident. We said
Yes.
she's part of a transatlantic empire.
Yes.
This is the whole Carthaginian, Phoenician
Empire, right?
legacy of the Americas. She's also holding a cornucopia,
Mm-hmm.
embodying how abundant this land was. And that's for another
It's the
reason,
harvest.
too. Uh, just talking about how this was the place of paradise
Abundance. Yes.
abundance.
Land of milk and honey.
Yeah, legend in the old world.
Right here.
Called the
Right.
old world. Yeah. So here's Tammany on his ass, not paying attention. His eagle died and fell off his shoulder.
Damn.
You know, he's probably uh has some strong drink.
Some good gin and juice.
Yeah. So he's not
Some good
watching
liquor.
the lady getting taken out.
He
He's wearing a
slipping.
William Penn medallion. You can't. I don't have the image of the medallion, but they got this. When you look at him, the man is wearing a William Penn medallion. You know.
Blood. Are you serious? Oh,
Yeah. I might pull that picture up. We'll see.
so let's put it into context. Let me zoom back out. He's over
He's right
to
in
the
front. He's right. He's right in the forefront.
he's in the forefront. Okay.
Yeah.
And they scheming on his whiz. That's
It's,
his wife?
yeah. And how do we know it was matriarchal governance? The king ain't front and center.
She is.
She is.
Right. Clamp the mom, yeah, the dragon.
Yeah. And
Damn.
is off to the side in his own meds,
Slipping.
turned up.
Right.
All right, we could keep going. Here's the next step. Isolate the Lenape woman who'll be left to fend for herself. This is, I think the name of this sculpture is Woman in the Wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
But she's dressed indigenous. She has a tomahawk,
Yeah.
but her countenance, as well as the countenance of her children, are Europeanized, you know?
They
And
amalgamated.
we see if you Google Lenape woman today, this is a typical image that'll come up, you know? We
Right.
need to contrast that with William Penn's account of the Lenape, who says they are generally tall, straight, well built, and of a singular proportion. They tread strong and clever, and mostly walk with a lofty chin, of complexion black.
There
So
you have it.
yeah. Just the contrast and show you uh, a part of stealing the birthright, the way they
Yeah.
got it memorialized. You know,
Right.
right? What are we doing? We're interpreting the language of the muses. We
Mm.
know if they were to just say this shit in English and write it down, and we
We-
could read it like the script direct.
Right.
I don't. We would resist it, but it would even get resistance within people that are on their team because they ain't reading the language of the muses.
Right.
Right?
And for the audience, the language of the muses is the statues, the artwork that they place strategically around America.
Exactly.
Okay.
Architecture, archetype symbols,
Architecture, art. Hold on. Architecture, archetype symbols. Whew.
and the art. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, if you walk up Kelly Drive, starting at Eakins Oval, we already saw step one in the assassination of the Queen Goddess.
Right.
Next significant statue you gonna walk up along Kelly Drive is this right here. Okay. Next step, step three. Isolate the sachem, ply them with strong drink and tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
That way they're easy to manipulate and steal the land. So this is memorialized in the next major statue you walk up on, which is called Settling the Seaboard, where you see
Mm-hmm.
a European family, mother, father, and child, right? Overtowering, standing over a Lenape sachem, chilling, sitting on his ass, smoking some tobacco, right?
Right.
That's the story of Chief Tammany, the patron saint of the U.S. We've been talking about how they isolate him, assassinated the matriarchal governance.
Right.
It's also the story of Tadiskin, the next statue. Next slide. Which is this is all connected on the same road, but it's about 9 miles further up,
Okay.
where in the Wissahickon, at what is more than likely the grandmother's Council Rock. And Tadiskin is accredited with signing off the Treaty of Easton. But we can't really affirm that he did because he's somehow mysteriously contracted smallpox while in Easton and never
Mm.
made it back to Shaxamatsin to say with his own words what was agreed to, right?
Wow.
But the Treaty of Easton is the document used to justify the expulsion of the Lenape off their ancestral lands west of the Allegheny, the Lenape Trail of Tears, right?
Wow. Wait a minute. So he's the top. Obviously he's one of the top sachems. He
He
goes.
Go ahead.
He goes. No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nah, go ahead. I'm affirm what you're saying.
He goes to have a meeting, or he goes to sit down and talk about the future of his tribe with the settlers, with the colonizers, and he dies mysteriously, never makes it back to his tribe to give them the word on how the meeting went, and they pop up saying that he signed a treaty that basically gave them all of the land.
All of Pennsylvania.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know how the art they use, like if you see this, right,
Right.
first impression you'd be like, oh wow, a Native American statue in Scout's pose in the
Right.
Wissahickon, right?
Right.
It's a total mockery of Tadiskin, the Lenape, and everything they're about. Number one, like we say, it's on the Grandmother Council Rock, right?
Right.
Second, uh, the name of the statue is Looking West. And
Right.
what they say is he's watching his people walk,
Mm.
from the the Lenape Trail of Tears that the Treaty of Easton set in motion, you know?
Right. And
And
that's
south,
sent to Lenape where?
huh?
It's sent to Lenape where
West
exactly?
of the Allegheny Mountains, like in the
Okay,
Ohio.
got you.
Yeah. And you know, that's like Western plain headdress. It ain't no shit that the indigenous Lenape wore. And so the Lenape themselves, like the ones in Oklahoma and different ones, like I bet you if we showed this to Turtle Gang, talking about, you know, this is Tedescan, he'd fire burn it.
Right.
Because you know, this the Lenape didn't dress this way. It's a
Oh,
mockery of them.
oh, they didn't dress with the head. How did they dress exactly?
Well, they didn't wear that. That's like Midwest headdress.
Oh, okay, headdress. Right.
Yeah. That wasn't their traditional gear.
Okay.
Yeah.
They
I'm
were
not
more
gonna be the
satcheled up
one.
like Moors.
I'm not gonna be the one to speak like, you know, I really can speak as if I'm them, you know.
Nah, I
Like
feel you.
yeah. Cause I
I'm gonna
see
ask Turtle for that
there
that
you go.
information.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I'm gonna go to that source. But you're doing a great job breaking this down because people would have no idea. This is not something that the tour guides are putting in the tour books, you know,
Nah,
this context or this perspective.
nah.
So big up. Matter of fact, let's you got a cash app? We're
Dollar.
gonna do that afterwards. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
No, matter of fact, what is it while you talking?
$ Rossben 188.
188. Let's continue.
All
Y'all
right.
show the guys some love. I'm posting it in the chat.
Give
All
thanks.
right. Yes, yes.
Now, while they got Tedescan looking west, they got this character, the next one, looking east.
Okay.
This character right here. This is
Yeah.
this is the fourth statue you walk up on this Kelly Drive walk that I'm talking about. Uh, you know, assassination of the Queen Goddess, step one. Uh, isolate the Lenape woman and breed her up, step two.
Mhm.
Isolate the sachem, ply him with tobacco and strong drink, get him to give away the land, step three. And then this is step four right here, the spirit
Okay.
of enterprise. The spirit of enterprise, which is probably, oh, someone just blessed me up, give thanks. I like that sound.
I
Ka-ching.
do too.
Yeah. Preach the love, y'all.
It's therapy.
Uh, so this is step four. This is how you take the DNA, you take the prophetic birthright, these ones is birthed in, and incorporate it into a super soldier to advance Rome's crusade. All
Mm.
right. So let's start with the other side. Yeah. So because the perspective you look at this statue means a lot. We're gonna start on this side. And what it is that you got a Lenape, a subdued Lenape. Well, I'm gonna say Algonquin
Right.
because Adair, James Adair said it was the Algonquin speakers, not just the Lenape, right?
Right. Algonquin.
Algonquin. So like I
Who
know
they who they
people
said it?
Shinnecock, right?
Right.
Yeah, so y'all are in that. My people are I got Micmac.
Micmacs.
My
Right.
father's people is the Micmac out of Canada, right?
Okay.
We Algonquin speakers too. So this
Okay.
prophetic birthrights in all of us.
Right.
That is the angle I come from when I study the Lenape. Like, you know, we cousins. We, you know,
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
You know, we locked in.
I ain't trying to like just because I'm here in Philly in shots of moxin and I'm captivated by the study of this land. This
Hmm.
land be speaking to me, you know what I mean? But
Rightfully
I'm
so.
aware same time, like uh it's a sensitive point of discussion, particularly ones of Lenape ancestries, because for centuries there's been a manipulation of their birthright and their identity. You know what
Big,
I mean?
big
I
time.
get it, you know? So what I want to say that this conversation applies to Algonquin. And more than likely, brethren,
Hmm.
I'm gonna step out there and say, everyone listening right now, they got some Algonquin ancestries, man.
Look, we done did the roll call before we started. Everybody from mound building civilizations on this line tonight. I show it in the beginning when I do roll call, and it always shows like Ohio is in the building, Georgia's in the building, the Mississippians in the building. Like we all here. They
We
even said that the president that was the first assassinated president, Abraham Lincoln, the man on the copper penny, comes from Algonquin bloodline.
mm,
That's why he was called Abe the Moor.
uh, uh, uh.
You know,
So, and we can have another reasoning on, deeper on that, right?
okay,
I'll be another night.
okay,
But
we,
and I look forward to that.
I do too.
Yeah. So when we look at this spirit of enterprise from this angle, there's subdued Lenape, subdued meaning he's on his back. He's like Tamanin was when his empress was getting taken out, right? He's
Right,
subdued, he's on his ass with his arms. He's supporting this giant with his feet. He's supporting an eagle, okay?
right,
The giant is holding a caduceus, which is the staff of Imhotep.
right.
And we know there's two intertwined serpents on that intertwining staff, right?
Yes,
The serpents have left the staff. One has wrapped itself around the belly of the Lenape. Those are those two bands you kind of see around its abdomen area.
yes,
The other serpent has wrapped itself around the back of the giant, right? And so we know intertwined serpents represent what? DNA. So this is about intertwining the DNA of the subdued Algonquin into this giant. This giant is the archetype of the super soldier, the genetically modified, genetically enhanced advancer of Rome's crusade. You see he's in Scout's pose, right?
the
That's why
Ubermensch.
contrast him with Tedescan looking west.
Right. He's
He-
looking the opposite.
yeah, but he's in Scout's pose saying he's got the indigenous spirit.
Right.
And
Onward looking,
yeah,
manifest destiny.
yes. And so and also what is east? Jerusalem, right?
Right.
Middle East.
Right. Mm.
But now let's look at it. Well, let's see, there might be another couple of angles from this view. Yeah, we can keep it moving. Yeah, that's a better angle where we can see, you see his face, you see his arm going up and then his hair, right? You see the serpent coiled around his abdomen. You see his apron. You see his feet. And the eagle is perched on his feet from this angle, right? You can see the giant's hand with the caduceus, and the serpents are leaving off of the caduceus. All right, next slide. Next slide. There's a close-up of the caduceus. You see the wings, right? You see his hand. I'm sorry, the lighting isn't that great, but you know what that means? Y'all got to come to Philly and see this thing for yourself.
Close
You
and
know?
personal.
And you can also look it up. The Spirit of Enterprise,
Right.
Jock Lipschitz
Lipschitz.
is the
Same last name as Ralph Lauren.
uh,
Coinkadinkally.
uh, and
Mhm.
uh, you can read about it. They describe it in detail, and you know they don't go in depth on the interpretation like I do, but they describe all that's on it. You know. All right, next slide, Star. But when you look at it from the other angle, right, the Algonquin identity is lost. It's lost, and it's just a part of the now what's the genitalia of this giant, right? And not only is it the genitalia of the giant, but it has seed coursing through it, right? And the giant is actually in the process of ejaculating. And what's it ejaculating? The eagle. We go to the next slide. All right, next slide. That's the seed coming straight out of his genitalia. You don't see no man from this angle, right?
Right.
It's a penis. And
Right.
what's it ejaculating? The eagle, right? Resurrected Rome.
Damn.
How do we know it's all about is it real? Because the penis is circumcised, right?
Lord have mercy.
Next, the penis is circumcised, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, next slide. Yeah, so yeah, it's a giant penis. So showing that they just want to take us what on one side we saw was an Algonquin embodiment,
Mm-hmm.
take that and let it be the seed of this super soldier
Right.
is genetically modified to take over the New
Right.
Jerusalem.
And that right, going back to transhumanism, they clone Tyrone, Henrietta Lacks,
Why
you
is
know, this
why are the Mormons? Why is the biggest database
DNA.
DNA database in the world in Utah in the
Right.
custodianship of the Mormons?
Right. You feel me? Like, what are they doing with this DNA? And like I say before, the chip in the brain thing with Elon Musk, like all of it is pointing to that super soldier. In German, it's German, it's not even it's German philosophy. It's the Ubermensch, which is the Superman. And that's
Yeah.
what the third right and them we're dealing with.
Yes.
You understand? And
Yeah.
that's what transhumanism is about, you know,
So
and they're all dedicated, huh?
here it is.
Yeah, right.
And it shows our, like, we know we are part of this drama.
We the battery in the Matrix, like they
Yeah,
showed in
here
the
we
movie,
are.
the battery. Yeah, so that's the battery. Even if you look at how Philadelphia is functioning these days, and in Pennsylvania, like the people are yeah, they still right there, powering that whole situation
Yeah.
with all that carnage, all of that energy and stuff like that.
With the
Like
full
that's feeding Rome.
with the full participation of the earth.
Mm,
Yeah. That's a whole nother reasoning. Let's keep it. We could transcend this one. This is Lipschitz other. Yeah. So
artwork.
look, this gives us a whole lot of different angles.
Right.
It gives us a different angle on the world wars and how, you know, the culmination of World War II ended up with the creation of Is It Real?
Right.
Right?
Out of Palestine.
The billions we send to Is It Real every day, you know,
Right.
as well as, again, you know, the United Nations, you know, His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie, was the architect of the 3 pillars of the United Nations:
Mm-hmm.
collective security, global disarmament, and international morality.
Yes.
These are the 3 pillars upon which international relations are supposed to occur, right?
Right.
And one of the biggest issues Israel faces on the world stage is that 3rd pillar of international morality. You know, sometimes it seems like they don't honor that thing,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And the United States, with its unconditional support, it's not a good look, you know, in
Yeah.
terms of international community. And that's a real issue. That's
Right.
a real issue,
Right.
you know? Uh, and but it gives us all of this gives us new perspective on it, you know. A
It
light
does.
is Udino and a star in the west. It goes back to the cat that you know, this man,
Hmm.
you know, everyone looks at George Washington as the father of the country, right? Well, yo, when you see all the things this man set in motion, from, you know, signing and ratifying and writing the peace treaty and setting up U.S. currency as a instrument of debt, and
Right.
uh, setting up national policy in such a way that our birthright is used to take over the New Jerusalem.
Mm.
Man. And then, right,
Right.
it can't help but inform what we see today. What it fully means, I can't articulate yet, right? But it definitely has to inform what we see in today.
Definitely.
What
Beautifully summed up.
Thank you. Let me see what follows this. Yeah, but now, cause right, what is it really about, man?
Mm-hmm.
Is it really about just being able to occupy Jerusalem? I
Right.
don't know, bro. I think it's a little deeper than that. You know?
Right.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
What have we been talking about this whole time? What's the ultimate form of magic? Control, manipulation,
Manipulation, determination
a
of a
historic and prophetic timelines, right?
right.
And we said one of the most relevant ways that we need to think about today, right? One of these nefarious ways these boys move is that they'll read prophecy. They'll know what's supposed to go down, right?
Right.
They want to manipulate. They don't want it to go down that way
Right.
because, you know, the deceivers of the nations in, you know, what you say, the original prophecy, the original prophetic timeline, pre-manipulation, they'll catch a harsh judgment, man.
Right.
You know, when that 1,000 years of peace jumps off, right? Why? Because them cats catch a judgment. Do you think the deceivers of the nation want that to happen. No. So what are they going to do? They're going to deceive the nations. They're going to enact historic events that mimic fulfillment of prophecy,
Right.
right? But they got a nefarious intention embedded in that thing.
Right. The closest example that I could pull out of a hat is Corona rising in 2020 when them come forward with, C-19 and other things on top of the Jubilee.
Uh,
You know what I mean?
uh,
On top of the Jubilee and on top of the rising, on top of the celestial solar events that were taking place. And
right.
then they threw
All of that in.
they interrupted the timeline with their campaign.
Yes.
The Great Reset is a man-made version of a cosmic reset that's taking place post Great Conjunction, post Pluto return, ending on 2/2/22 and all of that. So
Well, I was bringing it up because, in my humble opinion, that is what Is It Real has been created for,
right.
to manipulate a prophetic timeline of the establishment of the New Jerusalem, right? And not only did they have to retake Jerusalem, but what else do they got to do, Star? Because you told me you were already building on this.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Oh, they have to bring the Messiah back.
I was thinking about that, building a temple in the
Oh, they
new.
got to build a third temple.
They got to build this temple. They want
Right.
to manipulate. Good. All right. Let me see. What's the next slide? Yeah. We could. What's the next? Go ahead. Oh well. Let me just
No,
say
that's
while
right.
we're here. Yeah.
Mhm.
There's this guy, this researcher. Man, I forgot his name. Uh, but look, he was studying this thing too, and
Okay.
saying that there were these three major groups who, like, they really pressed to rebuild this temple on, what's it called, the Temple Mount,
The Temple Mount. Yes.
right? All right, these three groups is the political Zionist Jews, Freemasons,
Yes.
and the Vatican, the Jesuit-based Vatican. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
these three groups are really pressed for this temple to be built. I would even add a fourth to it: the evangelical Christians.
I just was gonna say that too because
Uh,
they right. They the ones who sprung up when Trump made that move, and they the ones that are in bed with number one. Like so, the evangelical. That's Mike Pence
yes.
party that he represented. That's Indiana. You know what I mean? That's all them. Those type.
So what's up with this? What what's up about retaking Jerusalem and building this temple? Why is it so important? I think ultimately it's about controlling and manipulating the most important prophetic timeline there is, and that's the end game of Revelations.
Right.
Right? Revelations is the last book of the New Testament, you know.
Right.
The last chapters of Revelation was that chapters 20, 21, and 22. It's all about the prophecies of the New Jerusalem, the
Facts.
advent of these thousands years of peace, uh, the ending of the deceivers of the nation, right? And if there's any, let's see what's on the next slide. If there's anything these boys want to manipulate, yeah, here's where they want to build this. third temple.
Third temple.
If there's any prophecy they want to manipulate the most, it's that one. That prophecy, this end game, right?
In game, right.
Because the deceivers of the nation won't deceive the nations no more,
So
right?
that would basically this end game thing would clear them of all karma of everything that people say that they finna feel because of what they've been over here doing.
And what I think is, remember, so now there's something we didn't talk about. I say remember, but
Mm-hmm.
prophecy is deep, right?
Right.
So let's say a prophet, a man who has that relationship with space time, like we was talking about earlier, right?
Right.
Which, uh, gives one prophetic vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they're in that proper relationship with space time. They got that prophetic vision and they utter prophecy
Yes.
that rings true in the minds and hearts of ones and is echoed throughout time,
Throughout time.
right?
Yes.
It's like from the point those words was uttered, that prophecy got to be fulfilled.
Right.
Got to be fulfilled, right? But this is the thing. Let's say you're one of these characters that want to manipulate timelines and you're using one of those four ways we've identified, right?
Right.
Uh, you 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 can't stop the prophecy from happening, but what you can do is alter how it happens or how that outcome manifests.
Right.
So that's what they're attempting to do. When in the prophecy of the New Jerusalem and the new temple being built, it's like Eden is restored. Man
Mm-hmm.
has his direct and personal relationship with nature once again. We don't have to go
Right.
to Babylon or the deceiver of the nation to
Right.
like this prophecy. Like if there's any prophecy they don't want to happen, it's this
It's
one.
this one. Right.
So what they got to do is create a scenario that mimics its fulfillment, but got
I,
some other nefarious intention in it. So I think
okay.
that's one of the deeper intentions of retaking Jerusalem and
Right.
rebuilding this temple, which we know, like what if they? Because the thing is, would you say is the third holiest place in Islam?
Yes.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be mad squabble.
Oh, big squabble.
It's gonna be mad squabble when them attempt to do this thing.
Big squabble. And you know, with this new war council and this war government that this war cap, they created a new government with their emergency powers. And we're talking ultra right wing parties. And they got to make that move. You know what I mean? Like it's that's everything that I see moving right now is that move being made.
Yes.
But the big play that they trying to pull off is the complete wiping out of those Palestinian inhabitants. They don't, you know what I mean? Like they don't want to be
Yeah.
they're trying to pull one.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, man. We'll see. We'll see. Time will tell. You know.
right.
I think. Yeah, I think that's it. Let me see.
Hmm.
Yeah, I already kind of shared that
You
there's
did.
New Jerusalem. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, oh yeah. Now,
Hmm.
something else All right, so look, something else I thought about. And I did this reasoning about 6 years ago, and that's when CERN was getting online and doing its thing, right?
Yes.
And one thing I heard CERN is able to do is like collapse timelines.
Right.
Let's say there's possibilities and probabilities, right? And you
Right.
want a certain probability to manifest, and you use CERN as a part of that quantum manipulation to make that probability manifest.
Right.
You collapse all the other
Other
possible,
ones. Right. And they
right?
showed that in the Marvel movies.
Okay. So what they may be attempting to do is create what's called the doomsday probability of the New Jerusalem, and then
Okay.
set off CERN to collapse all the other possible timelines.
Mm.
You know,
Right.
like we don't want to be on the timeline where the temple is built and CERN is on and
Fully,
pop.
fully activated.
Yeah, we don't want to be on that timeline. We
Right.
see we're close to that. And I would also say we got to think about that with what we're seeing today too. You know, because
Factory.
yeah, you know, give thanks for this opportunity to share these mystical visions, brethren.
Man, you
Because
already know.
yeah, we need to be able to look at this thing beyond fear factor. We need to
Yeah.
know our role in it. We need to know the bigger agendas, you know, uh, and how these events of today are being used as a part of uh, keeping us on this doomsday New Jerusalem timeline,
Yes.
you know, because I think with awareness, critical awareness, enough people aware, and you know, and I ain't got no malice in my palace towards no one, you know,
Yes, sir.
clear on that. I don't see no victim. I ain't no victim, and I don't see no villain. You
Right.
know, Gog and Magog, they got their role in this thing.
Everybody. Yeah. So it rolls. It's a movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody got their role in it, and
Gog and
I
Magog got their
understand why.
role.
I understand why they playing their role. I
Right.
understand their part. I understand, and that's another possible reasoning. You know, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but also in saying that as well, the more we can get aware, being able to see it through this prophetic lens and move as such.
Right.
Hey, prophecy says that's how we get out of this thing. That's why they left the prophecy for us in the first place.
In the first place. And like you said, I could imagine how many waves are being collapsed tonight just with the
Uh,
information that we're
uh,
feeding this collective
uh,
that I see as the Godhead.
uh,
And, they're able to do what needs to be done.
yeah,
So it's the releasing of the information and the timing of it that makes it precision, just like that laser right there.
yes.
You know,
That's me playing around with CERN shifting timelines and shit, you know, around this mountain.
I mean, going back to the conversation that we were having about the Philadelphia experiment, and all the way to the Montauk Project, you know, my spirit is telling me that the activation of CERN definitely has resulted in what they erroneously call the Mandela effect, but it's changing timelines. Like I'm
Yes.
complaining about not being in the right timeline. I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, I'm not I know that I'm not in the right timeline. I know that I'm in a different timeline. I'm in the bizarro world, and you know, I'm looking at CERN as being one of the manipulators of that,
I affirm that.
you know.
I affirm.
And then with the influx of multiverse,
Uh,
multiverse, quantum multiverse, like it's just inundating, you know what I mean? It's saturating pop culture.
yes.
Whereas a child, I saw a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old on Instagram breaking down um quantum universes and stuff. Like they were breaking down the multiverse.
Uh,
So like the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once showed, like the movie Jet Li the One showed, and other things where we exist on multiple planes and dimensions. Timelines have now folded on top of each other. Uh, Time is centrifugal, not linear, and we're somewhat experiencing everything at once. We have a wrong concept of time because, as we can see in these megalithic, ancient spiritual temples and whatnot, like they're still wonders of the world
mm,
with technology that hasn't been identified that actually built it.
yes.
Like who built that, quote unquote, who built that temple in Philadelphia without any steel beams and stuff like that.
Huh, yes.
So I appreciate you, man.
Peace and love you more, brethren.
Love you.
Thanks
Yes,
for
yes,
this
indeed.
opportunity. I heard that Cash Act Ching Ching a couple of times. Salute. Know the Ledge community. Thank you. Peace and love, y'all. You know, this is a
You
great
already know.
uh
I got two questions from the chat.
yes,
Is it okay if I ask you at least?
absolutely.
All right. So I definitely got to bring up my good brother. And I want to let everybody know to join us for our 11:11 quantum meditation. It will be going down on this channel after this show is finished. We will start a show at 11:11. Blue Pillar, come and get this light, come and get this work, come and get this energy, you know, so we could program ourselves as we go into Friday the 13th and we go into the eclipse, which
Uh
is on Saturday, that I'm still not necessarily I don't think I'm gonna look at it. I might sit this one out with staring into the eclipse,
mm.
you know. But
That's
I know
why,
that
man. It's my understanding we avoided eclipse rays back in the day.
we
You know?
avoided that shit, bro.
Yeah.
We wasn't, you know what I mean? We wasn't staring all into him,
Nah.
you know, because you know all of that staring that they did in 2017. I don't know how many people it benefited to that degree. You know
Uh,
what I'm
uh,
saying? You know the you know the shit people start getting swallowed up faster.
uh.
But let me go and pull up the question that I have for you from our good brother, one of our KT aliens, one of our master students. All right, the legend. I want to know the first question would be, how does the attempted hijack of Solomonic magic and temple technology play into the current events? And is it real in Gaza and Jordan?
Mm. Man. Yeah. Well, I think it plays in big ways because a lot of what them would call Babylonian geomancy, right?
Right.
Mapping out cities as sigils, essentially, right? Uh, yeah, all of that comes out of, what them would say the Solomonic magic.
Mm-hmm.
And them say after Solomon, right?
Yes.
There was a division. You had the 10 tribes formed the northern kingdom.
Okay.
You had the tribes of Benjamin and Judah forming the southern kingdom, right?
Right.
And
Right.
uh, that southern kingdom more or less manifested as the Ethiopian Wangara trade network, that
Mm-hmm.
included the empires of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, and their extended networks in the Silk Road.
Right.
The Northern Kingdom evolved into really what we know as Greece and Rome,
Mm.
right? Them 10 tribes
Right.
and the Northern Kingdom, they're the Samaritans. And the whole thing, like you say, Good Samaritan, right?
Good Samaritans.
But
Right.
the reality is that's like the original context is like, like you'll never, what? A Good Samaritan? Like, like,
It's like a needle in a haystack.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like there ain't no such thing as a Good Samaritan.
Uh,
So
okay.
that was the original context of that. That also the Radanites or the trade network uh, headed by Dan, the 10 tribes.
Right.
Uh, and these Radanites, because because they were, you know, they were Israel, right? But they also dealt with Babylon. They also dealt with Greece. They also dealt with Rome. They confabulated
Okay.
a lot of the Solomonic legacy
Mm.
into what you call it, them pagan uh, systems,
Right.
you know? So when you study the art, architecture, and archetype symbols of most cities,
Yes.
that's where you see that's where it all comes together, These
Right.
Radanites who, them big up Solomon, they claim that Solomonic legacy. It's all in their heraldry. You see
Yes.
that lion, uh, yeah, so they use, and we got to remember this too, okay? Who was Solomon's biggest business partner? Hiram Abath of Tyre.
Right.
Where Hiram Abath of Tyre, you heard Tel Aviv, right? Talking about Tel Aviv. That's ancient Jaffa,
Right.
right? And Solomon gave Hiram Abath Jaffa, gave him the most important port of
Wow.
Judah, right?
Okay.
Why? He worked out an arrangement with Hiram Abath of Tyre and said, hey, you can use my main port if you allow my priests to sail on your ships, you know?
Right.
But yeah, Hiram Abath, he was he was down with Baal. He ain't
Mhm.
honor Jehovah, you know?
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hiram Abath was a baller.
He was a baller.
He was a baller,
He
right?
rolled with balling him,
So
huh?
Hiram Abath
Ball. He was
and
balling
Solomon,
out.
Solomon got down, Solomon really, in a lot of ways, Solomon, he represented the pinnacle of Israel, but he also embodied the downfall because
Right.
a lot of the fuckery he engaged in, and that being one of it, that he, you know, did business with the ballers and took on, like, the tradition says, he took on their women and their ways,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So not all, I'm saying that to say, not all of Solomon's, like what they call his sciences and his crafts are upright anyway,
Anyway, right.
you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was all about subduing jinn and getting them to do your personal bidding and all
It's the
that.
Goetia.
Yeah. So
Um, could we tie in the Goetia and the Jinn activity to the activity that we see over there? And is it real with
mm,
the jinns? Because there's talks of Jewish jinns possessing Arabs, and
mm,
there's also talk of Arab jinns possessing Jews. And in the TV show American Gods, they depicted the jinn as being homosexual, as a deviant, you know what I mean?
mm,
Deviant spirit and whatnot of, a lustful spirit, right? And what would you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of talk about jinn activity. And I also talked about something called a Jerusalem syndrome, where people they're going to Jerusalem and becoming possessed and whatnot.
wow.
So it's been said that jinns are possessing them. So have you heard anything about that?
I'll be honest. I have that hasn't come through my. I haven't tuned into that. But I will say this: I think the shifting of timelines and setting off CERN definitely opens up holes in the fabric of our space time,
Right,
allowing these entities more
right,
access and influence in our realm.
right,
Yeah, I affirm that there's more of that jumping off in these times, as was prophesied. You know,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Indeed. Yeah, shout out.
I don't know. Like I can't say there's something specific in Jerusalem jumping off that would make that region particularly prone to it. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Right,
Yeah. It's like even what I'm saying, man. Not all of Solomonic, not all of his uh, science and crafts is probably in our best interest to be working with right now.
I get it. I get it. Definitely. Indeed. Real quick, the last one. The priesthood of ancient Memphis and the blacksmith technology. Is that connected to CERN and Vatican Jesuit um interest in the stars slash astronomy?
Hmm. Well, I
And
would
that's
say,
from the guy right here, the Jed.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Uh, these technology boys is the Memphites. If we say where are the roots, man? Let's take this battle all the way black, all the
Yes.
way goes to the the battles between the Memphites and the Thebans in the Nile Valley,
Mm-hmm.
and who the Greeks would call the Olympians versus the Titans.
Titans, Clash of the
Ti-
Titans.
Clash of Titans. Titans being the Memphites and the Olympians being the
The
Thebans,
Thebans. Right.
you know? And the Memphites were the technology boys. They was the weapon manufacturers.
Right.
The the armors
The armors, right.
of back in the day.
Right.
And many of the moves we see played out in our modern epochs,
Mm-hmm.
boys that set it in motion for sure. And if we could, in a couple of words, characterize the main difference, the Memphites were technology driven. They were the technology boys,
Okay.
and the Thebans, the Olympians, were naturalists.
Right. They
Yeah,
deal with nature
yeah.
or the
So
organic tech.
they were Osirian. The Thebans wanted to reestablish the Osirian way of life.
Okay. Well, we're gonna stop it and we're going to continue with this conversation. And another time, I encourage everybody to be in the building next Wednesday for our Patreon masterclass. We are at class number 3. The whole collection is available for your viewership. I'm gonna drop the link one more again. Well, the link is in the chat. The link is in the description, and I'll drop it one more time for our Patreon, where this good brother will be he's been teaching the whole month and dropping big information. If you were excited about this, then the class is gonna blow you away. I just want to say thank you for giving us this download, you know what I'm saying, sharing this lesson with us. And I look forward to more lessons, and I'm sure that my audience does as well. And with that being said, I'm gonna end it with the song that we did in Philly, entitled Sherman Hemsley,
All right.
so we could pay homage to that monument. You dig?
All right.
So I need everybody to not go anywhere. Pull up with us. We're gonna be doing this global meditation with Blue Pill. That is very important. You know what I mean? So we could ground our energy going into Friday the 13th. You dig? Love
Yes.
and light. All
Salute.
right.
Love and
Salute.
respect. Honor.
You're done though. All right. Enter. Nectar. Islam.
Islam.
Peace, King.
How you feeling?
I'm well, no.
How much?
444.
Can I get 2 bags?
Yes, sir. Okay, yeah.
I just want 2. Just 2 right now. Just
You
2.
know what? This is on me, okay?
Get thanks.
Yeah, this is for the family. All right?
No doubt.
Indeed.
This is for you.
Oh, man, beautiful.
Peace.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
It's a
Yes.
healthy one right there. It got seeds in it.
This one got seeds in it.
It got
Look,
seeds in it.
It broke the scale.
Ah,
We need a whale scale now.
yes, sir, man.
Yes, greetings.
Peace, brother.
Peace be unto you.
It's so magnetic. Red pillar, red pillar. It was recognized as ultra. They weaponized the culture. They recognized the vultures. Blue pillar. It's so magnetic. KT the art. It was recognized as ultra. Kambada. They weaponized the culture. We went from Eugene Adams, searching for the blacks in China, to searching through these back pages for some black China and some black vagina. We went from the UNIA and the Black Starliners to some black Masons, black Shriners, buying crack from the miners. Went from dapper damn black designers to some Gucci turtlenecks, black face reminders. Moving on up, Sherman Helmsley. But the shooters is shooting on up. There's nightmares on Elm Street. Computers it is booting on up. I'm dream chasing through the Jason months. As above, so below. We was adjacent once. Rethink your fears. They drink your tears. Why you making up for delinquent years? The distinctive years, crack pays, black rage, Beanie Siegel backstage, state property, crack cage, hell up in Harlem, the black plagues, Luke Cage, going through his crack rage, captured, bulletproof zombies, raptured, toothless blondies, carving a piece, ruthless Gandhi, starving for peace, no disguise for the vulture's eyes, most survive, but they cultures die. Look at Scarface through Sosa's eyes. Approach the guys and get posterized. Or dropped in the acid, emulsified. All of your media is socialized. When they see us and they start acting goofy, we smacking koofies, they bad and bougie. I'm a timeless royal, times of turmoil. Phyllis Thomas on Thomas Boyle. Flaxseed oil, black wheat to boil. Color of the backstreet soil with orange coils. We the lost attraction, I'm the course of action. If she look like Penny for a good time, I toss her Jackson. Me in the carbon, this quantum entangled. I'm dripping in carrots, the sponsors are jangled. If I had to decide to fade to Billy Gates, I'd say young choppers ass like Philly steak. Shit, I gave birth to a lady killer. Project a desire to Mercedes dealers. A hard pill they soon to swallow. Wherever I go, all these drones, yeah, they soon to follow. I resisted the urge and persisted to purge. Protect the hood from the peckerwood in my neck of woods. Delectable Negroes say they neck is good. Protect the wood, protect his wood. 36 chambers, inspect the deck was good.